Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Daily English Dialogues. I'm your host, Anna.
And I'm Mark. It is great to be back in the studio with you all today. We hope you are having a fantastic week, wherever you are listening from.
Today, we have a topic that might sound simple at first, but it is actually one of the most common conversation starters in the English language. In fact, some people say it is the only thing British people talk about.
That is very true. Today we are talking about the weather. But we aren't just going to say it is sunny or it is raining. We are going to dive deep into vocabulary, expressions, how weather affects our mood, and even some crazy weather stories.
Exactly. By the end of this episode, you will have all the vocabulary you need to describe everything from a light breeze to a torrential storm. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's get started.
So, Anna, before we dive into our main discussion, I have to ask, look out the studio window. What is the situation out there today?
Oh, Mark, to be honest, it is a bit dreary today. Actually, dreary is putting it lightly. The sky is completely overcast, meaning it's covered in a thick blanket of gray clouds. There isn't a single patch of blue sky to be seen.
It looks quite wet, too. Is it raining hard?
Not exactly. It's not a storm. It's more of a steady drizzle. You know, that fine, light rain that doesn't look serious, but if you walk in it for 5 minutes, you get completely soaked. It's just wet enough to be annoying.
I know exactly what you mean. It's that miserable, damp weather that just seeps into your bones. I can see people down on the street running for the bus shelter. They look absolutely fed up.
I don't blame them. It definitely feels like a stay in bed with a book kind of day. But Mark, this brings up an interesting point. We have been on air for about 2 minutes, and what are we doing?
We are talking about the rain. Again.
Exactly. It is a bit of a cliche, isn't it? English learners often hear that native speakers, especially the British, are obsessed with the weather. Why do you think that is? Is it just because our weather is often bad?
That is part of it, sure. But I think there's a deeper reason. I think the weather is the ultimate neutral subject. It's a safe zone for conversation.
What do you mean by safe zone?
Well, imagine you're in an elevator with a stranger, or you're waiting in a long queue at the supermarket. The silence can be very awkward. You want to say something to be polite, but you can't ask a stranger about their politics or their religion or their salary. Those are private, controversial topics.
That's true. You risk offending someone if you start with a heavy topic, but nobody gets offended by the weather.
Precisely. It's a shared experience. If we're both standing at a bus stop and it starts pouring rain, we're both suffering together. It creates a temporary bond. I can turn to you and say, "Can you believe this weather? The forecast said it would be sunny."
And instantly, we are having a conversation. It's the perfect icebreaker. It breaks down that social barrier without being intrusive. It's like a social code.
It really is. In fact, I read somewhere that in some cultures, talking about the weather is seen as stating the obvious, like, yes, I can see it is raining, why are you telling me? But for us, it's not about the information. It's a form of greeting. It's a way of saying, I am friendly and I acknowledge your presence.
I completely agree. But I also think there's another factor: unpredictability.
Go on.
Well, in some parts of the world, the weather is very consistent. You wake up, it's 30 degrees and sunny. Tomorrow, 30 degrees and sunny. There isn't much to discuss. But in the UK or parts of North America, the weather is incredibly changeable.
Oh, absolutely. We can experience 4 seasons in one day.
Exactly. You can leave your house in the morning wearing sunglasses and a t-shirt, and by lunchtime, you need a heavy coat and an umbrella because a cold front has moved in. Then by the evening, the sun is out again.
That is so true. It keeps us on our toes. It makes the weather actual news. It affects our daily decisions constantly. Should I hang the laundry outside? Should I wash the car? Do I need to leave 10 minutes early because the roads might be icy?
It's a constant logistical puzzle. I remember last week I checked my weather app and it predicted partly cloudy, so I went for a run in the park. Halfway through my run, the heavens opened. It absolutely bucketed down.
Bucketed down. That's a great idiom. It means raining very heavily, right? Like someone is pouring a bucket of water over you.
Yes, I was drenched. I looked like I had jumped in a swimming pool. And the funny thing is, when I ran past another runner, we just looked at each other and laughed. We didn't say a word, but we had that moment of solidarity. We are both crazy for being out in this.
See, that connects back to the social aspect. But tell me, Anna, does this constant grayness affect you? Some people say that living in a place with a lot of overcast days makes them feel a bit low.
It can do. I think when you don't see the sun for 3 or 4 days in a row, it can feel a bit gloomy. Everything looks gray. The buildings, the road, the sky. It lacks color. It can definitely make you feel a bit tired or uninspired.
I feel the same way. I think that's why when the sun does finally come out, everyone goes a little crazy. The parks fill up instantly. People wear shorts even if it's still a bit cold. We're so desperate for that vitamin D.
We really are. We have to make the most of it while it lasts. But putting the gloom aside for a moment, do you have a specific type of weather that you secretly enjoy, even if other people hate it?
That's an interesting question. Let's move on to our preferences because I might have a controversial answer for you.
Okay, we've complained enough about the rain. Let's dream a little bit. If you could snap your fingers and change the season right now, what would you choose? Are you a summer person or a winter person?
Oh, that is the easiest question you've asked all day. I am a 100% a summer person. I live for the warmth.
Really? You don't find it too hot?
Not at all. There is something about waking up to bright sunshine that just makes me feel rejuvenated. In the winter, I struggle to get out of bed because it's so dark. But in the summer, I have so much energy. I love that the days are longer. You know, when the sun doesn't set until 9:30 or 10 p.m.?
That is true. The long evenings are a big advantage.
Exactly. You finish work and you still have 4 hours of daylight to go to the park, see friends, or just sit on a balcony. And I love the evenings when it's balmy.
Balmy. That is such a fantastic adjective. We touched on it briefly before, but paint a picture for us.
A balmy evening is when the air is soft, humid, and pleasantly warm. You don't need a jacket. You can sit outside, dining al fresco, as they say, and just feel completely comfortable. It's that feeling of freedom.
Dining al fresco, eating outside in the open air. A very posh way to say having a BBQ. I can see the appeal, Anna, I really can. However, I am going to have to disagree with you strongly.
Oh no, don't tell me you are a winter person.
I am, or at least I am definitely not a summer person. For me, summer is just sticky.
Sticky?
Yes, when it's scorching hot, let's say over 30 or 35 degrees, it stops being fun and starts being uncomfortable. It's stifling. You walk outside and you immediately start sweating, and don't get me started on trying to sleep in the heat.
Ah, okay. I admit sleeping without air conditioning in August can be difficult.
It's a nightmare. You are tossing and turning all night, trying to find a cool spot on the pillow. Give me winter any day. In winter, you can control your temperature.
How do you mean?
Well, there's an old saying, you can always put more clothes on, but you can only take so much off. In winter, if you're cold, you put on a jumper, a scarf, a hat, you can make yourself warm. But in a heat wave, there's no escape.
That is a valid point. I suppose you like the fashion, too.
Absolutely. I love sweater weather. I like wearing layers, and I love the crisp air. You know that feeling on a frosty morning? The sky is blue, the air is cold and sharp, and you can see your breath when you talk? It feels so fresh.
I do like a crisp morning, but Mark, you are romanticizing winter. You are imagining a beautiful snowy postcard. What about the reality, the gray sludge?
Sludge?
Yes, slush, that nasty mixture of half-melted snow and dirt on the side of the road, and the freezing rain, and the fact that it gets dark at 4 p.m. Doesn't that make you feel lethargic?
Lethargic, feeling slow and having no energy. Sometimes yes, but that gives you permission to be lazy. That's the beauty of winter. It's the season of hibernation.
Like a bear sleeping in a cave?
Exactly. There's nothing better than being inside a warm house when there's a blizzard or a storm raging outside. You can hear the wind howling, but you're safe inside with a hot chocolate and a movie. It's the ultimate feeling of coziness.
I think the Danish have a word for that, don't they? Hygge?
Yes, hygge. It's that feeling of wellness, contentment, and comfort. Candles, blankets, wool socks. You can't have hygge in the summer when you're sweating.
Okay, you make a good case for winter, but I think we are ignoring the most beautiful season of all. What about autumn or fall?
Now we're talking. To me, autumn is the perfect compromise. It's not too hot, not too cold, and visually, it's stunning.
The foliage is beautiful. The trees turning red, orange, and gold.
Foliage refers to the leaves of the trees collectively. Yes, it's spectacular. But let's look at the other transition season, spring. I think spring is actually the most difficult season to deal with.
Oh, absolutely. The weather in spring is so deceptive.
Deceptive? In what way?
It tricks you. You look out the window, see the sun, and think, spring is here. You go out in a light jacket, and suddenly a cold wind hits you, or it starts hailing.
That is so true. It's incredibly unpredictable. 1 minute it's mild, the next you're freezing.
We actually have a specific phrase for those sudden short bursts of rain in the spring, right? April showers?
April showers bring May flowers, meaning the bad weather is necessary for the beautiful things that come later.
Exactly. But personally, I just carry an umbrella from March until June just to be safe.
Smart move. So, we've established that I'm a grumpy winter bear who likes to hibernate, and you're a summer sun seeker who loves dining al fresco.
That sums it up perfectly.
We've talked about our preferences for cozy winters or sunny summers, but nature isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it can be downright dangerous. Mark, you travel a lot. Have you ever experienced any truly extreme weather?
I have, actually, and it was an experience that gave me a lot of respect for Mother Nature. A few years ago, I was backpacking through Southeast Asia, specifically in Vietnam during the monsoon season.
Ah, the monsoon. I've heard about it, but I've never experienced it. I assume it's just a lot of rain?
That is what I thought too. I thought, I'll just buy a cheap poncho and I'll be fine. I was completely wrong. It started one afternoon while I was walking back to my hostel. The sky didn't just turn gray, it turned an ominous shade of dark purple and black.
Ominous. That's a great word. It means something bad is about to happen, right? Threatening?
Exactly. The air went completely still, the calm before the storm, and then the heavens opened. It didn't start with a few drops, it came down in sheets. It was torrential.
Torrential rain. We use that for rain that falls very rapidly and in huge quantities.
Precisely. Within 10 minutes, the street I was walking on wasn't a street anymore. It was a river. I was wading through water up to my knees, and the noise, it was deafening. The rain was hitting the metal roof so hard I couldn't hear my own voice.
That sounds terrifying. Were you safe?
I managed to duck into a shop, but then the wind picked up. These were gale force winds. I watched trees bending almost double, and I saw a plastic chair fly down the street like a piece of paper. We lost power in the whole neighborhood for about 6 hours.
Just sitting there in the dark listening to the storm?
Yes, it was humbling. It made me realize how small we are compared to the elements. But what about you, Anna? You lived in Canada for a while, right? You must have seen some serious cold.
Oh, I have. But the scariest moment wasn't just the cold. It was a blizzard. We were driving on a highway in Alberta, heading to the mountains for a ski trip.
Driving in snow is tricky enough as it is.
This was different. This was a whiteout.
I have heard that term. Can you explain what a whiteout actually looks like?
It's basically when you lose all visibility. The snow is falling so heavily and the wind is blowing it horizontally that the sky and the ground merge into one. Everything is white. You lose your horizon line. You get completely disoriented.
That sounds incredibly dangerous if you were driving.
It was. We literally couldn't see the hood of our own car. We knew we had to stop because if we kept driving, we would drive off the road. So we managed to pull over onto the shoulder, the side of the road, and turn on our hazard lights.
And then you just sat there?
We had no choice. We were stranded. We sat there for 4 hours waiting for the storm to pass. The wind was shaking the car violently. I remember worrying that a snowplow, the big trucks that clear the roads, wouldn't see us and might hit us.
Did you have supplies? I know people in Canada often keep emergency kits in their cars.
Thankfully, yes, we had blankets and some water, but the temperature dropped rapidly. It was about minus 20 degrees Celsius, but with the wind chill, it felt like minus 30.
Wind chill is the temperature it feels like on your skin because of the wind, right?
Exactly. We had to turn the engine on for 10 minutes every hour just to keep the heater running and prevent the battery from dying, but we couldn't leave it running constantly or we would run out of gas.
That is a survival situation.
It really was. When the snow finally stopped and the visibility cleared, we saw that we were buried under about 2 feet of snow. We had to dig ourselves out before we could drive again.
Wow, my story about getting wet in the rain sounds a bit silly now compared to freezing in a car.
No, both are scary. It just shows that whether it's heat, rain, or snow, weather is powerful. We often complain about it being inconvenient, but we forget that it can be life-threatening.
Absolutely. It teaches you to be prepared. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, as they say.
That is excellent advice. And speaking of being prepared, knowing the right words to describe these situations is part of that preparation.
Since this is a podcast for English learners, we absolutely have to talk about idioms. You know, English speakers are so obsessed with the weather that our language is full of weather metaphors, even when we're not talking about the sky.
That is so true. We use weather to describe our health, our finances, our luck, everything. So let's play a little game. I'll give you an idiom and you explain it to the listeners or give me an example.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, let's start with a classic one that I use all the time. If I wake up in the morning and I tell you, Mark, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, what is happening?
It means you're feeling sick. Not terribly ill. You're probably not going to the hospital, but you're not 100%. Maybe you have a headache, a cold, or you're just feeling a bit weak.
Exactly. It's a polite way to tell your boss you might need a day off without giving too many gross details. I can't come in today. I'm a bit under the weather.
Correct. Okay, my turn. Imagine you have a big secret. Maybe you're planning to launch a new podcast, but before you can announce it, I go on Twitter and tell everyone about it first. I would be stealing your thunder.
Oh, I would be so angry. To steal someone's thunder means to take the credit for their idea or to draw attention away from them when it should be their special moment.
It actually comes from the theater. In the 18th century, a playwright invented a machine to make thunder sounds for his play. His play failed, but a rival theater stole his machine for their play. He literally shouted, "They have stolen my thunder."
Wow, I didn't know the history. That makes it even better. Okay, here's one for when you're incredibly busy. Let's say you have too much work to do. You're snowed under.
That is a very visual one. I use this at the office all the time. I can't join you for lunch because I'm completely snowed under with paperwork. It means you're overwhelmed, just like a house buried in a blizzard.
Speaking of lunch invitations, what if I invite you to dinner but you're snowed under and can't come? You might ask for a rain check.
Yes. Can I take a rain check? This is essential for social situations in English. It's a polite way of saying, I can't do it now, but I would like to do it later.
It softens the rejection. It shows you still care.
Exactly. Now let's look at something more positive. Imagine everything in your life is going perfectly. You have a great job, you're healthy, you're happy. You could say everything is right as rain.
Right as rain. It's funny because rain usually represents bad things, but here it means everything is correct, functioning, or healthy. I took some medicine and now I'm right as rain.
Here's a tricky one. To get wind of something.
Ah, this is about information. To get wind of something means to hear a rumor or learn about something secret. If the boss gets wind of us leaving early, we will be in trouble.
Spot on. It's like the wind carries the smell or the sound of the secret to you. Okay, Anna, give me a hard one.
All right, let's say you're trying to learn a difficult math concept. At first, it's confusing. but suddenly you understand it. The confusion goes away. It's like a fog has lifted.
That's beautiful. It means clarity has returned. You can think clearly again. I was so confused about the project, but after the meeting, the fog lifted.
And one more common one. If you tell me you'll be at my birthday party come rain or shine, what are you promising?
That is a promise of total commitment. It means no matter what happens, even if there is a disaster or bad traffic or you're tired, you will be there, come rain or shine.
It shows you're dependable. It's a very fair weather friend thing to not show up.
Ooh, fair weather friend. We have to explain that one too.
A fair weather friend is someone who is only your friend when things are easy, when the weather is fair, but as soon as you have problems, bad weather, they disappear.
Nobody wants a fair weather friend. We want friends who are there through the storm.
And finally, one for when you're being careful. Let's say you're cautious. You throw caution to the wind.
Wait, that means the opposite. To throw caution to the wind means to stop being careful and just take a risk, to do something impulsive. I threw caution to the wind and booked a flight to Paris.
You're right. I was testing you. It means you let the wind carry your caution away.
These are so useful. Using these idioms makes you sound so much more fluent. It moves you from textbook English to real English.
Absolutely. Just don't try to use them all in one sentence or you'll sound a bit crazy.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked about physical comfort, being hot or cold, but I want to discuss something more internal. Do you think the weather affects your actual personality, your mood?
Oh, definitely. I don't think it. I know it. There's actually a lot of scientific research on this. The most famous example is something called SAD, or seasonal affective disorder.
Right. That is a form of depression that is related to changes in seasons, usually beginning in the late autumn and continuing into the winter.
Exactly. It's often called the winter blues, but for some people it's quite serious. It's caused by a lack of sunlight. When the days are short and we don't see the sun for weeks, our bodies get confused.
It's about our biological clock or circadian rhythm, isn't it?
Yes, sunlight helps produce serotonin, the hormone that makes you happy. Darkness produces melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy. So in winter, we're basically walking around with too much sleep hormone and not enough happy hormone.
That explains why I feel so groggy in January. I find it so much harder to concentrate. I feel a bit more melancholy and reflective.
Melancholy is a beautiful word for a sad, pensive feeling. But Mark, have you heard of the opposite problem? It's something called sunlight guilt.
Sunlight guilt? I don't think I have. What is that?
It's a very common feeling, especially in countries like the UK or Canada where good weather is rare. When the sun is shining, you feel a huge pressure to go outside and enjoy it.
Oh my God, I have that. If it's a beautiful Saturday and I just want to stay inside and watch Netflix or clean my house, I feel incredibly guilty. I feel like I'm wasting the day.
Exactly. You think, I must go to the park. I must have a picnic, even if you are tired. It's a strange form of anxiety. The weather actually dictates your schedule.
That is fascinating. But let's talk about productivity. Do you think you work better in good weather or bad weather?
Honestly, I work much better in bad weather. If it is gray and rainy outside, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I can focus. I can get my head down and work.
I agree. High pressure and high heat make me feel lazy. When there's a heat wave, a period of unusually hot weather, I find it impossible to focus. My brain feels foggy. It's sticky, humid, and uncomfortable.
Whereas rain can be very therapeutic. There's actually a name for people who find peace of mind and joy during rainy days. They're called pluviophiles.
Pluviophile. That comes from the Latin word pluvial, for rain. So, a lover of rain.
Yes, for a pluviophile, the sound of rain against the window is soothing. It acts like white noise. It blocks out the distractions of the world and makes you feel safe inside.
I can relate to that. However, there is a limit. If it rains for too many days in a row and you're stuck inside, you can get cabin fever.
Cabin fever is an essential idiom. Can you explain it?
It's that distressing, claustrophobic feeling you get when you're stuck in an isolated place, like a cabin or just your apartment, for too long. You feel restless and irritable. You just want to escape.
I definitely get cabin fever in February. I start pacing around my apartment like a caged animal. But Mark, there's one specific thing about rain that I think almost everyone loves, even if they hate getting wet: the smell.
Ah, yes, we touched on this in our notes, the smell of the earth after it rains.
It has a scientific name: petrichor.
Petrichor. It's such a sophisticated word. It describes that earthy, fresh scent when rain hits dry soil or pavement after a long period of warm, dry weather.
It's one of my favorite smells in the world. It smells like renewal, like the earth is taking a deep breath.
That is very poetic, Anna. But what about storms, thunder, and lightning? How do those affect your mood?
Storms give me adrenaline. When the sky turns dark and the wind picks up, I feel a sense of anticipation. The air feels charged.
Literally charged. There are actual electrical changes in the atmosphere, positive ions, that can affect people's nervous systems. Some people even get thunder headaches before a storm.
My grandmother used to claim she could feel a storm coming in her knees. "My joints are aching, it's going to rain," she would say.
And was she right?
Usually, yes. It has something to do with the drop in barometric pressure. So our bodies are much more connected to the weather than we realize. We aren't just observing it, we're physically reacting to it.
It really makes you think. We have climate control, air conditioning, and heating, so we think we have conquered nature. But deep down, we're still animals who react to the sun and the rain.
Absolutely. So if you're feeling a bit sad or low energy, maybe don't blame yourself. Check the forecast. It might just be a low-pressure system moving in. So Mark, we've talked about how the weather affects us, but let's talk about how we actually know what's coming. How do you check the weather? Do you trust the weatherman on TV, or are you an app person?
I am ashamed to admit this, but I am absolutely glued to my weather app. I check it the moment I wake up, before I even get out of bed. It dictates what I wear, how I commute, and even my mood.
You sound a bit obsessed. Do you check just one app, or do you compare?
Oh, I compare. I have 3 different apps. If one says it's going to rain and the other says it's sunny, I choose to believe the sunny one. I call it optimistic forecasting.
That sounds very scientific. But seriously, the technology has changed so much. It used to be just a man in a suit standing in front of a green screen map. Now we have radar, satellites, and hourly updates right in our pockets.
And yet, the forecast is still notoriously unreliable.
It really is. How many times have you planned a barbecue because the app said 0% chance of rain, and then you end up standing outside in a drizzle holding a soggy burger?
Too many times. But you know why it's so hard to predict? Meteorologists, the scientists who study weather, are using supercomputers that can do billions of calculations per second. But the atmosphere is chaotic.
It's the butterfly effect, right? The idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can cause a tornado in Texas. Small changes can have massive consequences.
Exactly. But there's one thing on weather apps that confuses everyone. When you see 50% chance of rain, what does that actually mean to you?
Honestly, I always assumed it meant it will rain for 50% of the day.
See, most people think that, or they think it means 50% of the city will get wet, but it's actually a mathematical equation called the probability of precipitation. It combines the confidence of the forecaster with the area covered.
That is way too complicated for me. If I see anything over 40%, I just bring an umbrella. It's better to be safe than sorry.
I agree, but I think the most useful number on the app isn't the temperature, it's the real feel, or feels like temperature.
Oh, absolutely. The thermometer might say 10 degrees, but if there's a strong wind, it cuts right through you. That is the wind chill factor.
And in the summer, it's the humidity. 30 degrees in a dry desert feels fine, but 30 degrees with 90% humidity, it feels like you're swimming in soup. It feels like 40 degrees.
It's oppressive. We actually have a specific measure for the sun's strength, too, the UV index.
Yes, the ultraviolet index. That is crucial for health. If the UV index is high, you can get sunburned in 10 minutes, even if it feels cool.
So we have all this data, UV, humidity, pressure, wind speed. But Mark, do you ever look at the sky, like with your actual eyes?
You know, rarely. I'm so busy looking at the screen. But my grandfather was a farmer, and he never used technology. He relied on folklore and observation.
I love weather folklore. Did he have any specific sayings?
He had loads. The most famous one was, "Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning."
My dad says that too. Shepherd's delight means the weather will be good tomorrow.
Scientifically, it actually makes sense. In the UK, weather usually comes from the west. A red sunset means the sun is shining through clear air from the west, so good weather is approaching.
That is amazing. My grandmother used to watch the cows. She said if the cows are lying down in the field, it means it's going to rain.
I've heard that one. I think the theory is that they lie down to keep a patch of grass dry for themselves, or maybe they just feel the drop in air pressure.
Or maybe they're just tired.
Ha, probably. But it shows how connected our ancestors were to nature. They looked for signs in pine cones closing up, or birds flying low. Now we just panic if our Wi-Fi goes down.
I think we have lost some of that intuition. We don't read the clouds anymore. We don't know the difference between a cumulus cloud, the happy ones, and a nimbus cloud, the dark, rainy ones.
We should start a movement. Look up, put the phone away, and just look at the horizon.
But there's one weird phenomenon that technology has revealed to us: microclimates.
Oh, that's a good C1 word. Explain that to the listeners.
A microclimate is when the weather in a very small area is different from the surrounding area. Like it might be raining on your street, but 2 streets away it is sunny.
Cities are full of those. Tall buildings can block the wind or trap heat, creating heat islands. So the forecast for London might be accurate for the airports, but totally wrong for the city center.
So the conclusion is, trust the app, but take it with a grain of salt.
Trust it with a grain of salt, meaning don't believe it completely. Be skeptical.
And always, always carry an umbrella, even if it says 0%.
Especially if it says 0%. That's when the sky likes to play a joke on you.
We have had a lot of fun today talking about getting wet in the rain and checking our apps. But Mark, we can't really host a podcast about the weather in the 21st century without talking about the elephant in the room.
That is a great idiom to start with. The elephant in the room means a major problem or issue that is obviously present, but that people are avoiding discussing. You were talking about climate change, right?
I am. It is becoming impossible to ignore. It used to be a scientific theory for the future, but now it feels very real in our daily lives.
I completely agree. We were just joking about how the weather is unpredictable, but have you noticed it becoming more erratic in the last few years?
Erratic means uneven, irregular, or unpredictable. Yes, definitely. It feels like the extremes are getting more extreme. The hot days are hotter, the storms are more violent.
I've noticed the winters especially. When I was a child, I remember we had snow that stayed on the ground for weeks. We used to go sledding every January. Now, it feels like we go years without seeing proper snow. It's mostly just gray, wet slush.
That is sad. It's a sense of loss, isn't it? But it's important to make a distinction here for our learners. There is a difference between weather and climate.
That is a crucial point. People often confuse them. Weather is what is happening today or this week. Climate is the pattern of weather over a long period, usually 30 years or more.
Exactly. So just because we have one cold day in July, it doesn't mean the planet isn't warming up. That is just weather. The trend is what matters.
And the trend is worrying. We're seeing these massive extreme weather events all over the news. Wildfires in places that used to be wet, floods in places that used to be dry.
It's scary. It actually leads to a new psychological condition we haven't mentioned yet: eco-anxiety.
Eco-anxiety. That is a very modern term. It describes the chronic fear of environmental doom. I think a lot of young people suffer from this. They worry about the future of the planet.
It is heavy, but it's not just about feelings. It's about practical changes. Think about agriculture. Farmers are having a nightmare trying to predict when to plant crops because the seasons are shifting.
And think about infrastructure. Our cities were built for the climate of 100 years ago. They weren't built for flash floods or 40-degree heat waves.
Flash floods are those sudden, local floods that happen when a huge amount of rain falls in a short time. We're seeing those more often in cities because the concrete can't absorb the water.
So it sounds very doom and gloom, but we should talk about the vocabulary of solutions too. What are people doing about it?
Well, the buzzword of the decade is sustainability.
Sustainability, being able to maintain something at a certain rate or level. In this context, it means living in a way that doesn't deplete the Earth's natural resources.
Exactly. We talk about reducing our carbon footprint.
Your carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, that are generated by your actions. So if you fly a lot, you have a high carbon footprint.
We're seeing a shift toward renewable energy, solar power, wind power, hydropower. It's actually quite exciting to see how fast the technology is moving.
It is. And on a personal level, I think people are becoming more conscious. We're recycling more, maybe eating less meat or trying to drive less. It feels small, but if everyone does it, it adds up.
Every little helps, as they say. But Mark, does the changing climate affect where you would want to live in the future?
Ideally, I would want to live somewhere temperate.
Temperate means a climate that is mild, not too hot, not too cold.
Yes, but those places are getting harder to find. I read that some people are actually becoming climate migrants, moving to different countries specifically to escape heat or rising sea levels.
That is a serious reality for many island nations. It puts our complaints about a rainy day in London into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you realize that a stable climate is a luxury.
So, while we can't solve climate change in a 30-minute English podcast, I think it is important that our listeners have the words to discuss it. It's probably the most global conversation happening right now.
Absolutely. You'll hear words like emissions, global warming, tipping point, and conservation in almost every news report.
Tipping point is a scary one. That's the moment of no return, when a small change makes a huge difference that cannot be reversed.
Let's hope we haven't reached it yet. But to end this segment on a slightly lighter note, have you noticed that despite all this, British people still just want to know if it will be sunny for the weekend, barbecue?
Old habits die hard. We can be facing a global crisis, but we still just want to know if we need to buy charcoal for the grill.
It's human nature. We focus on what is right in front of us.
Let's lighten the mood a bit. We've covered the heavy stuff, so let's talk about something everyone loves: holidays. Mark, how much does the weather influence where you choose to go?
It is the #1 factor, 100%. I basically live my life chasing the sun.
Chasing the sun. I like that. So you're a winter sun kind of traveler.
Absolutely. Living in a country with a lot of gray, drizzly days, my main goal for a holiday is to lie on a beach and not move. I want to go somewhere arid or tropical.
Arid means dry, right? Like a desert climate?
Yes, I want to guarantee. I want to look at the forecast and see nothing but little yellow sun icons for 14 days straight. I want to feel the heat on my face. It helps me recharge.
I understand the need for vitamin D, but have you ever traveled somewhere for the sun and had it go completely wrong?
Oh, don't remind me. A few years ago, I booked a trip to a beautiful island. It was supposed to be paradise, but I didn't check the season properly. I arrived right at the tail end of the rainy season.
Oh no, was it a washout?
A total washout. That's a great word for a holiday or event that's ruined by rain. It rained every day. We spent the whole week sitting in the hotel lobby playing cards. I was so disappointed.
That is the risk you take. But personally, I have a different philosophy. I actually enjoy off-season travel, even if the weather is cooler.
Really? You would voluntarily go somewhere cold for your holiday?
Yes, think about it. If you go to Rome or Paris in August, it's sweltering. It's 35 degrees, you're sweating, the subways are crowded and smelly. It's exhausting.
That is true. Sightseeing in a heat wave is miserable. You just want to hide in a museum with air conditioning.
Exactly. But if you go in October or November, the air is chilly but fresh. You can wear a nice coat, you can walk around without getting heat stroke, and the best part? No crowds.
I suppose that makes sense. But what about extreme cold? Have you ever done a winter wonderland trip?
I did. I went to Iceland in January.
That sounds brave. Was it bitterly cold?
It was freezing. The wind cuts right through you, but it was magical. We saw the northern lights, the aurora borealis. You can only see them when the nights are long and the sky is clear and dark.
Okay, I admit, that is on my bucket list. But you must have had to pack a lot of gear.
Oh, packing was a nightmare. That's the one downside of cold travel. You have to pack so many bulky layers. Sweaters, waterproof trousers, big boots.
Whereas for my beach trip, I just throw a few t-shirts and a pair of shorts in a bag. I can travel just with a carry-on. You probably had to pay for extra baggage.
I did. My suitcase was huge. But there's a famous quote by a British writer, Alfred Wainwright, that I live by. There's no such thing as bad weather, only unsuitable clothing.
I love that quote. It's very stoic. It suggests that if you're prepared, you can enjoy nature in any condition.
Exactly. If you have high-quality thermals or warm underwear and a good windbreaker, walking on a glacier in a storm makes you feel alive. It's exhilarating.
I think it also depends on the type of holiday. If you're doing a city break, rain is fine. You can just hop from cafe to cafe. We call that cafe culture.
Yes, there is nothing better than sitting in a cozy cafe with a hot coffee, watching the rain run down the window while people outside are rushing around with umbrellas. It feels very cinematic.
You're romanticizing it again, but I have a question about acclimatization.
Good word. To acclimatize means to adapt to a new climate or environment.
Do you find it hard to acclimatize when you come home?
Definitely. If I go somewhere hot in winter and then fly back to freezing cold weather, my body goes into shock. I usually get a cold immediately.
Me too. It's the post-holiday blues combined with the temperature drop. It's brutal.
But Mark, one last thing about travel. Have you ever experienced a weather event that actually disrupted your travel plans, like a canceled flight?
Oh, yes. I was once stuck in an airport for 24 hours because of dense fog.
Fog is the worst for planes, isn't it?
It is. You can't take off, you can't land. The whole airport just shuts down. It was chaos. People were sleeping on the floor. It made me realize how fragile our transport systems are. A bit of cloud on the ground, and the whole world stops.
It's humbling. We think we're in control, but nature is always the boss.
So, what is your advice for our listeners planning their next trip?
I would say check the average rainfall for the month you're visiting, not just the temperature. And always, always pack a lightweight rain jacket just in case.
And my advice, go somewhere where they put little umbrellas in the drinks. That usually means the weather is good.
I like your style, Mark. Well, Mark, I think we have covered almost everything. We've gone from sunny days to blizzards and from idioms to climate change.
It has been a whirlwind of a conversation.
Ha! Whirlwind, another weather word.
Before we go, let's recap some of the key vocabulary we used today. We had overcast, scorching, drizzle, torrential, humid.
We also discussed gale force winds, seasonal affective disorder, and the beautiful word petrichor.
We hope you found this dialogue helpful. Our challenge for you, the listeners, is to look out your window right now and try to describe the weather using 3 advanced adjectives.
Don't just say it is nice. Is it breezy? Is the sky hazy? Is the air muggy? Let us know in the comment section below.
Thanks for listening to Daily English Dialogues. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel.
Until next time, stay warm or stay cool and keep practicing your English.
Bye, everyone.